All right, so I think we're good to go. So my name is Mike Beard. I've met many of you in the past, I'm sure. I'm the Director of Sales for Objective Loon. And what I'm here to do today is introduce you to a brand new integration between Objective Loon and CardConnect. This brings extremely interesting value to the PlanetPress Connect technology and opportunities that we can all go work on together. So just as a quick run through of the agenda, what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about the integration itself, exactly how PlanetPress Connect now works with CardConnect for credit card processing. We're going to touch on payment security, which is a critical piece of this puzzle. We're going to take you through the client value proposition, and then very importantly, the client engagement. In other words, how do you work with us and CardConnect if you like to find business? And of course, that will result in a sales process. So just a real quick touch on the two businesses. Objective Loon, as many of you know already, we're in the business of business process automation. So we're looking for clients that are running their business processes very much on paper today. We're helping them move to the digital versions of those papers, whether it be outbound invoicing, whether it be some kind of mobile documents. We're all about helping customers save money by moving to a new digital world. So with that, I'd like to introduce Nick from CardConnect. So Nick, over to you to introduce yourself and your business.
Yes, thanks, Mike. I really appreciate that. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. My role ultimately is a partner development manager. I work closely with my partners, such as the one Objective Loon and Mike. My goals are essentially to educate Objective Loon on our advanced technology enhancements of our platforms, support marketing initiatives, and continued learning of the OL platform and solutions. Ultimately, assisting with the growth of our mutual portfolio. Also with me on the call, I have a colleague by the name of Ben Leitch. He is a great asset who will be with me on the call to provide any further assistance during this call. A little bit about CardConnect. We began as a merchant services provider, partnering with individual sales agents. The business evolved through acquisition during the merchant services area, to evolving to the fully integrated solution offerings that we will discuss today. CardConnect was acquired by First Data, the world's largest processor, with one of the main reasons being our patent security and technology. Today, more than 195 organizations, ranging from Fortune 500 companies to startups, use CardConnect securely to process and manage their everyday transactions.
All right, Nick, well, thanks very much for that. So let me jump into the meat of this then. So kind of a bit of a refresher, if you like, because again, many people on this call will know what PlanetPress Connect does, but kind of a level set, right? So what we believe we do is we solve the integration challenge between customers' line of business systems. So down here on the left-hand side, line of business, which means warehouse management systems, ERP, accounting systems. All those systems produce data, and that data is converted to documents. And business is all about managing those documents. How do you do business? It's invoices, it's purchase orders, it's statements, it's advanced ship notices, it's shipping labels. Tons and tons of documents bouncing backs and forwards between organizations is what drives business. So we're in the business of helping our clients automate those processes and make them electronic. And just to quickly run through this list, because it's going to reflect on some of the new things we can do with CardConnect in just a second. Clearly, a big part of our business is still print. So taking transactional data from a line of business system and formatting a beautiful looking invoice to print on a printer and be optimized for mail. We've been in that space for probably 20 years, and that's not changing. Still a big part of our business. In addition to that, these days, we're getting into digital distribution of those documents. So your invoice now might be sent out as a PDF attached to an email, or maybe an invoice embedded into an email. That's what the Connect part of PlanetPress Connect can really bring. A couple of other capabilities which are new, which again will relate to CardConnect in just a bit. We're now very big into moving transactional documents to mobility or mobile platforms. So for example, a proof of delivery document that used to be paper going out of the business and back in as paper and being scanned into ECM, we can now take those transactional documents directly from the line of business system, print to us, we'll convert that to a document on a tablet, process that transaction, capture the customer's signature, capture changes in the quantities, and then drive those transactions back to an ECM system. So again, we're connecting the data from the line of business back to an ECM system. That's been around for probably close to 2 years now. not new, but we're about to add some serious value to that. So that's some of the options and capabilities, if you like, of connecting a line of business system to an ECM system, and where PlanetPress fits and enhances that process. So what's new is this integration with CardConnect. CardConnect is not just a pay now button and that's it. It's a fully integrated merchant service platform that we can now talk to our clients about. So let's talk about that in the context of a couple of applications to kind of bring it down to earth. Well, there's three that I like to talk about. Business to business. Lots of our clients today are pushing out invoices, like I just mentioned, to paper and maybe out into the mail. They're producing invoices to go collect money. Well, just imagine if the conversation we can now have with those clients is, sure, continue printing the transactions or the invoices when your customer is insisting on that. But what about changing that printed invoice to a email with a link to a web page, and on that web page you can now pay and then collect the money almost instantaneously. What you've just done is you've removed printing, you've removed the mail costs. Maybe more importantly, you removed the cost of processing the inbound check at the back end, and the money's appeared in your account almost instantaneously. So there's lots and lots of B2B type applications where we're not paying through credit card, but we're paying through ACH cards or ACH payments. So that's great for the B2B space. B2C, business to consumer, if you like. The example I love to use is I live in New Jersey, one of tens of thousands of houses in New Jersey. And how does my water bill arrive? Well, my water bill arrives as a postcard. So what do I have to do? I have to write a check, stick it in the mail with a piece of that postcard back to the water authority. So think about that from the water authority's perspective. They're receiving every quarter tens of thousands of checks they now have to process. That means scanning them potentially, processing them through the bank. That's a very expensive process. If I could take that existing print file, those existing transactions that produce the postcard, and simply convert it to an outbound email with a pay now button so that that money can end up in the water authority's bank account close to automatically, and remove all that paper and also processing checks, giant ROIs and cost savings. And the third piece, talking about our mobility platform a second ago, a proof of delivery being a great example, we're seeing more and more clients today that are moving to digital distribution of proofs of delivery as opposed to paper distribution. But one of the business problems is, supposing I'm delivering to a client, and because of maybe their payment history, I'm required as a driver to capture cash on delivery. Well, nowadays, that probably means literally picking up a check or possibly even cash from the client. Wouldn't it be great if I could actually process a credit card transaction in the field on a mobile device that is presenting my proof of delivery document? That's exactly what we can do now with the CardConnect connectivity. So there's many applications processing payments at the back end of transactions that we objectively are already managing. We're just not managing yet the processing of the payments at the back end. That's what's new with this fantastic new integration with CardConnect. So dig just a little bit deeper and explain how this actually works, because this is a critical piece in the puzzle. So here on the top left-hand corner, you can see OL Connect. So the example here is we've already received the transaction. In this case, it's a proof of delivery, and we push that proof of delivery to a mobile device. Now, one of the pieces that Nick will explain in a lot more detail than I can, but security becomes a critical piece. PCI compliance becomes a critical piece. So how do we offer this technology to our clients without giving them a PCI or a security compliance type of issue? Well, it's actually quite simple. On the tablet, you've effectively got one web page, which is the proof of delivery document, but embedded in that web page is kind of another web page. It's called an iframe. So now the tablet is actually looking at two servers simultaneously. So once the credit card information is keyed into what looks like our web page, actually it's been keyed directly into the card secure server. The minute that transaction is completed, they send us back a token. That token we then use to process the transaction on the back end. But the key here is that the objective-learned software, and therefore the client, never touch or actually even see or store that credit card information, which is critical for PCI compliance. Another significant value add to this process is when we're talking to our clients, one of the challenges often is, okay, it's great to get a payment into my account, but how do I relate that back to my actual transaction, my business? Which account is this? Which transaction is this? Well, because the PlanetPress technology knows all about the transaction coming down to the tablet, okay, we can pass what's required back to the CardConnect folks, and they can make a connection, not all the time, but many times, certainly to the major systems, back to the line of business system to close the loop. So from an AR perspective, accounts receivable collecting the money perspective, we've made a connection between not only the credit card payment, but the actual transaction to push that detail back to line of business, which completely closes the loop. So that integration is frankly very sweet and very strong, and it again avoids the need for any kind of PCI compliance issues in our customers' environment. So with that, I'd like to pass to Nick to take it on a little deeper, a little further.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So when Mike was talking about, the card secure and the payment and tokenization, again, that's our bread and butter. That's why First Data essentially acquired us, was for our patent security and our technology. So with that, we have a patent tokenization and PCI certified point-to-point encryption technology. For example, at the point of swipe or keyed entry, that is of the credit card, is when the card is tokenized, is assigned, and then encrypted. This is two forms of security, which reduces our PCI scope and compliance cost. A good analogy to think about is a tunnel versus a bridge in this situation. Our tunnel is secure from point to point. The beginning and an end is our road, and there's no way to get in or out. The bridge, on the other hand, you can fly through, take a boat under, or drive a car over, which becomes vulnerable. The embedded tokenizer iframe integration, which is what Objective Loon uses today, really what that means is no one knows what that token means except for CardConnect, not even Objective Loon. That token is a very valuable piece in the entire puzzle. Some of the main purpose of the token is really ultimately securely storing the card data, which can be used for reoccurring processing payments at another later time. Some of those functions and values of the tokens, they're irreversible, they're intelligent, they're persistent, they're also merchant specific. When we talk a little bit about PCI and PCI compliance, this refers to the respect to the credit and debit cards. It refers to all the rules and regulations merchants and users must meet in order to have the right to accept electronic payments. Adhere to formats such as payment card holder industry, which is the data security standards. They're the ones that are setting the security for all the cards that are being used in today's processing. We maximize the PCI scope reduction. So that's ultimately, we reduce your SAQ from 300 questions to 26 questions. Also includes card present and non-present protection, which is the most effective way to secure cardholder data from swipe, dipped, or key transactions. Again, security is what we're talking about here. The main reasons for our security, again, is going back to the tokenization and the PCI certification. From there, Mike, you want to go to the next slide?
Sure, absolutely. So if you look at this, therefore, from a client value proposition perspective, there's really two pieces. So kind of in summary, what Objective Loon brings is now, with respect to COTG running on a tablet application, we now effectively have P2P, point-to-point an encrypted device, which can be either Android, iOS, or Windows 10 devices. With our integration, as I mentioned before, but to restate, we're very strong now in the B2B space, AR payments, B2C space, digital billing, potentially for end users, and also mobile payments. So what that means is that if you look at the top right, all the power of PlanetPress Connect, which is the ability to compose and workflow documents, whether they be printed, whether they be mobile, whether they be email, or whether they be web pages sitting behind a secure link, all of those communications now can have added to them the ability to pay for that transaction, which really rounds out the PlanetPress Connect story and the value proposition for the customer. So Nick, over to you on the CardConnect piece.
Yeah, so really ultimately with our value proposition here is just a high-level overview to our customers and end users. CardPoint essentially is the best end-user platform in the industry today that offers a full-scale management tool from funding, reporting. It's user-friendly, it's clean, and accounting essentially will live in this on a daily basis. Merchant services, it's essentially the payment processing piece. Additional service that we offer outside of the OL software, our virtual terminal can be used online and on mobile to accept payments. The hosted payment page, this is essentially another form to get merchants, new customers onboarded, and this can be customized. And lastly, we have a shopping cart full of plugins.
Yeah, that's great. So the bottom line is they offer not just the connectivity to PlanetPress Connect, but a full suite of services that the client over time will probably enjoy. So it's a very capable set of technologies. So Nick, back to you again. Take us through how one of our resellers would work with you in terms of signing up a customer.
Yeah, so essentially, it's pretty easy, Mike. Pretty straightforward. For the resellers out there on the call today, essentially, if you are working with your customers and have a lead, there's three ways to send that lead. The first one is going to be a landing page, which Objective Loon has already we've created. It's available today. And that way, that landing page, essentially, it's a really simple link just to fill out the necessary information of that specific lead. There's also the second way is to send the lead by sign up at CardConnect.com. And lastly, there's a call-in number, an 877 number, which we will show to you later in the presentation. Ultimately, with those three ways to send the lead, those leads get funneled into our Kansas City sales team, which there is a dedicated assigned rep by the name of Ashley Morgan. So what happens is once that lead is submitted, we have a 45 SLA in order to get back to that customer, that lead. So what's going to happen is within that 45 minutes, Ashley's going to get that lead. She's going to do a little bit of homework as far as who the customer is. She'll call that customer and she'll begin the process. It's that initial engagement with the customer. She'll have a high-level discussion with the customer, talk about the OL CardConnect integration, highlight any key features that need to be highlighted. From there, she essentially evaluates the customer and the user's need, right? So when it comes to pricing strategy and cost analysis, she walks through the application process with the customer. So again, very, very hands-on. That's why she's in place. She's really there to make this as smooth and as seamless as possible. Once that customer has been boarded, we bring in our activation specialist. Essentially what they do, the activation specialist, they will work with the end user to educate them on all the advanced technology features that we offer. They essentially get them up and running so they can begin everyday transactions. And that's the complete, essentially, cycle from start to finish. Mike, back to you.
Okay, that's great. So from our reseller partners' perspective, there's actually no product that we're selling here. It's an integration. So there's no new line items or items to resell to make this work. We've done all the work. We've created the integration. We're effectively giving that to you for free. It comes in the form of some workflows in the PlanetPress Connect technology. There may be some professional services to connect it to a specific workflow, but the goal here is to help you bring customers on to using credit cards for processing transactions. And the value to us as a community is the ability to even talk about that, whereas previously we couldn't. So credit card processing becomes a value add to the PlanetPress Connect sale. But the great news is most of the work, actually all the work's been done. All you're doing is implementing that workflow. Obviously, if we're doing the professional services, then we're doing that on your behalf, and we're going to charge some nominal amount for that, but there's no products to sell. So the sales process is exactly as it always is. You guys, our channel partners, find the opportunity. As you know, we don't sell direct. We rely on our channel partners to find our clients for us. Once that's done, as always, through our sales team, you engage our pre-sales pre-sales folks to do demonstrations or whatever's required. Should the credit card processing be of interest to the end user, then we engage CardConnect through that process that Nick just went through. And I'll show you that portal in just a minute so you can see what it looks like. Then back to our normal process, we'll do our estimates and confirm that the customer really has the budget for whatever this application happens to be. Then, as always, we'll develop a statement of work. And then, once that statement of work is completed and it's been sold, then the implementation happens, which is completely normal. And now part of that implementation is the CardConnect folks signing that client up, okay, with respect to their technology, and then our workflow through the various security features connects into that particular client's environment, and bingo, we're done, we're easy, we're off. It's a very straightforward process, and it's been tried and tested, and actually in just a minute you'll see an actual demonstration of a process being run. So back to kind of the closing slide here is the referral submission tool is by phone, is by email, or is by web. Now, you don't have to write those down or remember them because I'm going to show you in just a second where you can go get this information. So what I want to do now real quickly is go to our marketing portal, if you like, to show you where all this stuff is housed. And then I'm going to jump in to a quick demonstration. So if I pull up my web page here. So this is our PlanetPressPartners.us site. So the only thing you have to remember from this presentation, and we of course will email this to you later, is PlanetPressPartners.us. On that site, we have an applications tab. Under the applications tab, we have our CardConnect integration. So everything here is what you need. The presentation we're giving today is this presentation. The sign up link, which I'm going to go to now real quick, actually I've got it open already, is right here. So this is the joint CardConnect and Objective Loon sign up page. So if you have a client that is interested in this and wants to learn more and talk to the sales side of CardConnect, this is the form that gets filled out that Nick was referring to just a couple of minutes ago. That's right here, the sign up page. We have the presentation I mentioned. We also have a brochure, which I'll pull up real quick. So here's a combined brochure for Objective Loon and CardConnect, showing a lot of what I talked about or we talked about on the phone just now. So again, you have everything you possibly need, including a approximately 2 minutes presentation, or should I say video from CardConnect explaining the CardConnect piece. So like in all of our applications, like proof of delivery, we've got all the resources here ready to go for you to go out and start talking to and communicating with clients. So the final thing I want to do today is actually show you this technology working. So the way I'm going to do that is first I'm going to pull up our workflow. Again, this is a developer's tool. Most of you have seen this before. The only point I want to make here is look how simple this is. We've got 2 workflows to do what I'm about to describe. And the magic actually sits in this script, which again is already done. There's no development required to make the secure communications between the PlanetPress environment and the CardConnect environment. So now if I jump into our developers tool, again, a lot of you have seen this before. So as you know, this is not what users use. This is what we use or you use, or in some cases the end customer uses to develop applications. So I'm showing you this demonstration in the context of our developers tool. So let's pick one of the applications. This application is potentially B2C, right? So it's a sporting goods company, and today they're printing their invoices. So here is a printed invoice. Obviously, it's a PDF that we've trapped with our workflow to bring into the PlanetPress Connect environment. As you understand, we've data mapped this. So we've extracted all the header information and the line item details, and we put that into our unified data model on the right-hand side here. It's a standard classic PlanetPress implementation. If I now move to this tab, which is our designer tool, what I'm looking at now is I'm looking at our designer, the email context. As you know, we have a print context, an email context, and a web context. This is the email context. And in this email context, if I scroll down, you'll be able to see here a simple pay now button on that composed email. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File and Send Test Email. I'm going to select here, I want to create a web PDF as well, and it's going to myself, and I click Finish. Give this a couple of seconds, and it will send a test email out to myself. So the point is, we've used the composition tools to build the application. Okay, sent successfully, that's great. And now I'm sending a test email out to myself. So if I now click on my my own email, where did it go? There we are. Here's my email inbox. And this email has just literally this second come into me. Now, attached to this email, let me show you real quick, is, remember I selected, I wanted to receive a PDF version. So here's the PDF version of that invoice. Now notice, and importantly notice, this is paginated, right? It's a letter-sized paginated piece. So this could, of course, be printed or sent as an attachment to the email. Again, that's completely standard PlanetPress stuff. Here I have the email. Now, practically speaking, we of course know that in a live application, it's extremely unlikely you're going to put the line item data for an invoice inside of an email, but it can be done and it kind of looks good for demonstrations. Practically, that will probably be a secure link that you click on to take you to a web page. But that aside, if I scroll down, you'll notice that in my email, I have my click to pay. So let's click to pay and see what happens. Well, what that's going to bring up is it's going to bring up a payment page. Now, again, this is all about demonstration, right? So this payment page is not particularly pretty, but it will be embedded into the customer's environment designed in PlanetPress Connect to look exactly how the customer wants. What I'm going to do right now, however, is I'm going to do a live process, right? So if I uncheck this, this allows you to go and show what happens in such things as do not honor, card expired, et cetera, et cetera. So we have dummy cards here that show those kind of responses. But for now, I'm going to go and do a actual live presentation. So I'm going to post in a credit card there. The real expiry date is 10/22. I don't want to process $5,000, which actually came out of the original transaction. Let me do 1.34 cents, right? So I got a recognizable number. Now, look at this page, what just happened. The credit card number disappeared. Why? Because it's already been tokenized. So the credit card number is no longer available anywhere inside of the PlanetPress Connect environment. We cannot get to it. It does not exist. And that's where the security comes, right? If I now submit this payment, the system will come back and say transaction approved. That's great. So from an objective loon process, it looks like we just processed a credit card payment. Did that actually happen? Well, let's now go to the CardPoint portal, and I'll do notice there's 2 transactions here. Let me do a refresh real quick. And sure enough, there are now 3 transactions. And the last transaction I did was that number 1.34. Now, I'm not going to go and explain all of this, but this is the CardConnect portal where our customers, the merchants, manage their accounts and their environment. And as you can see, we've successfully pushed, it's actually an Amex transaction for $1.34 directly through the CardConnect with that relatively simple process and that relatively simple workflow. So that relatively simple integration has generated, I think, huge opportunity in the ability to connect what used to be printed paper to now web pages with the ability to instantly pay. So just to kind of close on the presentation, that's it from Nick and myself. But having said that, the doors are open for you to key in any questions if you haven't already, and we're here to answer any questions you might have that you've keyed into the system. So thank you very much for your time. If there's any questions, then we'll be having some people managing those questions. Appreciate it.
Hey everyone, this is Chelsea from the CardConnect side. I'm just going to read off some questions for Nick to answer, and Mike as well. So I will start with Susan Moore asked, I understand the CardConnect intake process. I thought I heard that ACH is also accepted. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll take this one. Thanks, Chelsea. ACH is acceptable. It is a application process that we can walk through on a per customer basis. It's a additional step that we can take offline to provide further information. Does that answer the question?
She said yes. And then Suzanne also followed up and asked, what is the fee associated with the CardConnect integration and ACH processing?
The fees associated offhand, I do not have them currently in front of me. Again, it's part of the full detail of the ACH process that we have. It's actually, we have a link with the step-by-step process. It does incorporate all the fees associated with that. And again, happy to provide this more information on the ACH after the call. Be happy to send an email, so please provide email so I can follow up.
Perfect. And then Nate also asked, can we pass invoice numbers to CardConnect?
Yeah, this might be. Let me take that one. Yeah, absolutely. So because PlanetPress Connect has control over all of the data inside of the transaction, then the information that we can flow through certainly can include the invoice number. And I'm presuming the part of the reason to ask that question is for the closing the loop at the back end. So you've got the transaction value, other information, and the invoice number. Then through professional services, the CardConnect folks can help with pushing that back to a line of business system.
Thanks, Mike. So those are the three that I see in here now. So if anyone else has one, feel free to submit.
All right, sounds like we have a quieter group today, but thank you again from Objective Loon very much for joining this call. We do look forward to talking to you one-on-one and taking you through some of the details. But again, we truly believe that this is an outstanding integration that should bring lots of opportunity for all of us. So thank you very much for your time attending.
Hey, Mike, sorry, I think it looks like we had a few more come in.
Oh, okay, great. Great.
Sorry about that. All right, so Suzanne also asked, does the CardConnect Council manage the voucher creation process?
I'm going to refer this one to Ben. Go ahead, Ben.
I was just going to ask, can you get a little more granular on what that means? I apologize. I'm trying to understand exactly what you're asking. Is it who creates? I guess, is there another way you can ask that question?
Looks like Suzanne said if it's recurring payments.
Gotcha. So any merchant inside CardConnect has the ability to do recurring payments. If you're asking about a specific invoicing process, that would be another kind of one-off question to decide. I can't answer that. Our recurring payments is done through a tokenization process, and our tokens last up to 14 months, and they auto-renew every time they're used. So if you're having somebody with a recurring payment setup, then it should stay functional. But if there's a more granular kind of who-done-it question, we can do that over email as well.
All right, and then Josh asked, is there an NFR or a demo in OL Learn?
Okay, this is Mike. I'll handle that one. There is no demo in OL Learn yet, but the demonstration that I just gave, we can do on your behalf. And what we're working towards is making that demo available for our reseller partners. But one thing that you have to understand is we have to figure out, which we have not done yet, is the ability for our reseller partners to have access to the CardConnect's demonstration system that we can then in turn supply to you. So in the short term, we can demonstrate exactly like I did to you on your behalf to your clients. In the longer term, we will work out a way to get that demo to you guys. On a more technical front, if there are any engineers in the audience that want to gain access to the workflows that I have running and the documents I have running, yeah, that's not a problem at all. We can certainly get you that one-on-one. But as soon as we have the demonstration piece up and running that you can do without us, we'll be publishing that on our planetpresspartners.us.
Okay, thanks, Mike. So I think that should wrap up all the questions, unless anyone has a last-minute one, but that was the last one in there at the moment.
All right, sounds like that is it this time, right?
Yep, I think we're good to go.
All right, well, thanks everybody again. Appreciate your time very much, and we'll be talking to you.
Thanks, everyone.